Hi, everybody. Welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. On this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, I am joined by podcast contributor Jenny, and we are reviewing By a Thread by Lucy Score. Welcome back to the podcast, Jenny.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Okay, you want to go ahead and read the synopsis from Goodreads?
Do that. Dominic was staring at me like he couldn't decide whether to chop me into pieces or pull my hair and French kiss me. Dominic, I got her fired. Okay, I had a bad day and took it out on a bystander in a pizza shop, but there's nothing innocent about Allie Morales. She proves that her first day of her new job in my office after being hired by my mother. So maybe her colorful, annoying, inexplicable, alluring personality brightens up the magazine's office that have felt like a prison for the past year. Maybe I like that she argues with me in front of the editorial staff, and maybe my after-hour fantasies are haunted by those brown eyes and that sharp tongue. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be the next Russo man to take advantage of his position. I might be a second-generation asshole, but I'm not my father. She's working herself to death at half a dozen dead-end jobs for some secret reason she doesn't feel like sharing with me, and I'm going to fix it all. Don't accuse me of caring. She's nothing more than a puzzle to be solved. If I can get her to quit, I can finally peel away those layers. Then I can go back to salvaging the family name and forgetting all about the dancing, beer, slinging brunette. Hold my beer, grumpy grump face.
Okay, so this was released April 23rd, 2020. So it is a couple years old. The tropes are grumpy sunshine, boss, employee, age gap, and enemies to lovers. It is a standalone. And so there's no series to it. It is a dual first person book, and it is the put out percentage is 65%. So it's kind of a slow burn, but this book is really long. So I actually didn't qualify it as a slow burn because if it had been like a 290 page book, it would have been like a 30%.
Yeah, because I was like reading and I was like, oh my,
Well,
only
had you read this
30%.
before?
I had, like, when it first came out, which
Mhm.
2020 was a whole nother animal. Like,
Yeah. Well,
I did not
it was a
remember
reread
much of
for
it.
me, and I was rereading it today, and I was like, I don't remember it being this long. It's
Right?
really good, and it worked, and I didn't hate it, but like trying to prep for the podcast, I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have waited till today.
Right.
Like I'm sitting in swim practice, like scanning through. I'm like,
Yes.
okay. So let's talk about their meeting because honestly, this is one of the best meet cutes in a book. Like, I love a meet cute. But so Dominic is walking into a pizza shop on his cell phone, and there's a sign at the restaurant that says no cell phones. And so he looks across the room and sees this gorgeous girl who apparently works there. And then she starts yelling at him for having being on the phone.
Right. And then she seats him with his mom, which she thinks is his
His
date.
date.
And she's a little snarky about getting their order, but like, I mean, she works at a pizza place. Like,
Well, but also too, he's kind of a dick from the get-go.
right. Like he wasn't going to get off his cell phone. So yeah, he
Yeah.
deserved it.
And so like his mom is really sweet to her, basically is like, stop being so mean. And so like she when she asked like if he wants unsweetened iced tea, like I just laughed really hard. But so they order their pizzas and he's being mean some more. And he gets a pepperoni pizza and she proceeds to put the pepperoni in FU and serves it to him. And then he gets her fired.
Yeah, quite dramatically.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
but she leaves dramatically. Like
Yeah.
she
Well, I mean,
owns
at
that
that point,
firing.
right? Like
Yeah,
she
at that
didn't
point
have
she does.
anything left to lose.
There are no fucks to give.
Right?
But
Yeah,
then
she gave her last one.
she did. Well, because she like so Allie herself, she's kind of stuck. So she lived in Colorado, but we find out throughout the story that her dad has dementia and he is in a home and she's trying to take care of him, but he hasn't been taking care of the house that she grew up in because of his health, and she didn't know. And so she's dealing with the dementia diagnosis, which I think that Lucy Score did a really good job showing like how devastating a dementia diagnosis is to the family. like not so much the patient, but the family.
Right, I agree. Like she definitely showed both sides, like the good and bad days and
Hmm.
kind of the grief that goes along with losing somebody that's still living.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because there's multiple scenes where she goes and visits him, and it is heartbreaking. A couple of them are heartbreaking, but there's this one scene where she goes, he's having a great day because he was a musician and he was playing music and he knew who she was, and he was really lucid for hours, and like she went into work late because of it, because she's like, I don't get many of these. So she was taking full advantage of that. And it's just, it's so true. Like they're like once the mind starts to go in patients like that, like those lucid moments, like you grab them and hold on to them.
Right, right.
But so Allie is working multiple jobs trying to pay for her dad's care, pay for the house repairs, and just live.
Yeah. And her mom is not like she left when she was like 11, I
11,
think.
yeah. But she's like
Yeah.
trotting the globe, being a good person. I put that in like
Right.
finger quotes, but I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Telling
And
everybody else how to live their life when,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and she's like this do-gooder, like building water wells and things like that. And so Allie has some baggage, but she really tries to see the positives in life, and I appreciate that. Like, yes, like life has shit on her recently, but like she is not allowing it to bring her down incessantly.
Right. When you said like grumpy sunshine, like I was like at first that isn't what I would have
Hmm.
like labeled it, but yeah, she's more optimistic than I would have been in her situation.
Yeah, well, and I think that this is one of those books where she is like she sees the positive, like she lives her life in like in sarcasm for the most part. And I think that that's one of the reasons I really think this book works well as a Grumpy Sunshine, because like Dominic's kind of an asshole when you meet him, but at
Not
the same
kind of, he
time, like
is.
he is, yes. But it's one of those Grumpy Sunshines where he truly is grumpy in the sense where like he's an asshole, but he see like you understand the reasoning behind it, and with the right motivation and the right change of thought, like his it's not like he has a personality change. He's still kind of like grumpy at the end of the book, but like he's not an asshole at the end of the book. And I think that is one thing that Lucy Score does really well in this book.
Like, yeah, a lot of it is his situation, circumstance, and
Hmm.
he has to find a way to change what he can and deal with what he can't change.
Well, and I think he also has to recognize like he's not his dad. Like he has a lot of like of these thought processes of like I have to live my life a certain way because these things have happened in the past, and he sees himself in this position and in like in the shoes of his father, and he has multiple people having to tell him like you're not your dad. Like your dad made really dumbass choices. Like he made those decisions. Like you are doing better, and he needs to recognize that.
Right. And I think in a longer book like this, we can see that like develop more in a
Hmm.
natural way than like kind of like the overnight, like, oh, epiphany.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that's the thing too, like the book itself, like it's like 500 pages or like 400 and something pages, but it's not a short timeline. Like it goes across like a good amount
right.
of time. And so you're not reading all these really intricate moments. Like you're reading as life is going on. But so Allie ends up, so the day she gets fired, let's go back to that. She have like Dominic's mom happens to stump. I think she followed her, but
I think
it,
so too.
it seems like she stumbles across her and offers her a job. And then she also offered, there's this guy sitting at the bus stop, and
Buddy.
Buddy, so and he's like, oh, you're handing out jobs. I'll take one of those too. And so she gives him a job too. And like Buddy is one of those characters who is just he is happy. Like he is down on his luck. His wife got hurt on like at a job, but he truly like there's this point where Allie says like Buddy's friends with everybody. Like he meets people and they're his friend, and he has this innate like ability to make everybody happy around him, except for Dominic.
Right. Which, I mean, apparently no one can make Dominic happy. But yeah, like Buddy's the kind of person like everybody knows somebody like Buddy.
Mm-hmm. Where they see the positive in everything. Like he even talks like his wife got hurt, like he lost his job because he was taking care of them, but there's always a positive. Like he knew that like that was not their end game, like being in the situation they were. And it was really uplifting, like his character. And like he's just one of these side characters, but you really fell in love with him.
Right, right.
But that's one thing with this book too, is there's a decent sized cast of characters. We have Linus, who is like the creative director like of the magazine, and like takes care of all the shoots, and it has some Devil Wears Prada vibes
Right.
in this book, but it's like, and they actually make a reference to it, but Dominic is Miranda.
Right. Well, I was
And
a huge Ugly Betty fan. So
oh, I
like,
love Ugly Betty. I honestly was just rewatching that like last month.
yeah, I love
It kind
that
of
show
is,
too.
but
That
Dominic
was,
is more of a dick than Daniel was.
yes, I kind of like used the like setting as my
Yeah.
image. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true because Amanda is kind of like that Melina.
right. And then like you have the mom
Well,
and
and you have
the sleazy
like the
dad and yeah.
fashionista bestie, because the English chick, I can't think of what her name was on the show, but she's the Linus, like dressing
Yes.
Allie. Oh yeah, so it's like Devil Wears Prada, Ugly Betty, like meshed together.
Yes.
So if you like those two things, you would really like this
You
book. But
would,
honestly,
yes.
it's a really funny book. But eventually, like you get to a point where Dominic's baggage, like it rears its ugly head, and he fucks up bad.
Yes, he does. Like
So
I
bad.
really wondered if he was like gonna learn his lesson at all.
Well, and it was one of those books where even so his best friend Harry, like he tells him like what happens, and Harry's wife is like, I don't think you can come back from this.
Right?
And it's like it's true, like you're reading it and you truly wonder like, is he going to be able to grovel enough to make this better?
Right. And yeah, like I said, like I wondered if he could like correct his wrong because
Uh-huh.
um yeah,
What?
I would be pretty mad.
Yes, but it takes a while too, like so
Which it should. Yeah,
there's
it's not the
it
quick
should,
like
yeah.
resolve. Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. It's actually like I was I'm looking at it right now. So it says as March gave way to April. So he has been emailing her like for like every night there's a new email. So he emails her at least once a day for over a month. Like, and I that's just at the beginning of like the chapter. So I don't know how far into the chapter like
Right.
anything happens, or if it's even that chapter. Like
I want to like I
it
don't
was a
think we
good
get a dead
couple,
set like timeline, but
but
like it's like 6 to 8 weeks. Like
it's a
it's
long time.
yeah.
Like there is distinctive groveling, like a lot of groveling. Like he eats a lot of shit in these emails. But that was one of the things too, is like emails were one of their ways of really communicating, because Dominic, like part of the theme of this book is the fact that they work together. Like he works, like she works for him. And that was one of his dad's big faults. And so he doesn't want her. And he tells her these things. And he's constantly hurting her unintentionally.
Right. He's trying to be a better person per se, but
But he's just
um
like he keeps shoving
doing
his
it,
foot in his
yes.
mouth. Like
Yeah, he's
he has good intentions for the way that he's doing stuff, but the way that he is doing it is terrible. And he unintentionally hurts her over and over again at the beginning of the book. And then he gets this like crazy idea that they're gonna learn about each other on personal time through email.
right, their personal email because like there can't be any trace.
But that doesn't go super well either, because then
No.
again, like he sticks his foot in his mouth, and like and that's one thing I like about this book is like Allie, like she doesn't change a lot. Like she's pretty confident. Like she has some like self-worth, like epiphanies. It's like I am worthy of like this and
Right.
this. And so like, but she just finally understands what like her friends and like her neighbors, like her dad's neighbors have been telling her, like, you're worthy of these things. But Dominic, like, he really shows a lot of growth in the fact that like he can have this relationship and it is not the same.
Right. And they are older,
Yeah. Like
like
he turns
39 and like
like I
40.
think she's mid 30s and he turns 45 in this book. And I want to
Okay.
say she's like mid 30s. So I think there is a deep, like it is, I feel like there's a like 10 years. There might actually, it might not be an age gap. I'm thinking
Yeah,
it's an
because
age
I
gap.
think she's 39.
Okay, so I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But it's one of those things where like they are older, like they are more mature, like they
They've
think about
experienced
things.
more life. Yeah.
Mhm. And they, well, and they process things differently too,
Right.
which I think I appreciate. But it is a beefy book. So you like if you're gonna read it, like you are in for the long haul, but it comes together really well. And it works and it is funny. And it is honestly, there are some things that she said, like at one point, I think she says, I'm a fucking delight. And I'm like, I think I have said that.
I'm pretty sure you have.
So I'm like, I really like Allie. Like we could be friends.
Yes, she's a little snarky, but she's like snarky without being like truly mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's not, well, and if she is mean, she's not,
you
she's like
probably
nice.
deserved it.
Well,
Yeah,
she's like nice mean. Like when she's talking to that one person in like the admin pool, like she's nice, but she's mean.
right.
And I kind of love her. But it's such a good book. Okay. If you think, or wait, do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? If you do, send us an email at thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. Thank you, Jenni, for joining me on this quick shot of romance.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.